Now, also what's worth noting, though, is that there are some people inside our system who don't quite get the memo. And it's good for the Prime Minister to say what he's saying tonight, but they need to drive this home. Because just today, here's a couple of examples of some of the crazy that is happening, regardless of what the people who run our country say are the priorities of our country. Including at the Methodist Ladies' College, they've decided that they're going to have gender diversity lessons and they're going to be running a compulsory workshop for kids called A Little Bit Gay. Apparently it's all to make sure that it's easier for kids to come out. Now, put simply, for those that are half listening, for those that are ready to go and dob off to someone woker than you on Twitter, we of course want a society where people can come out and be supported by their family and friends. But does this really need to be done via the school system? Australia is falling behind on every possible count when it comes to our education system. But for many in the industrial left, the intellectual strength of the kids doesn't matter, as long as the moral fibre is exactly the type that the woke warriors demand. Also, we saw a story earlier this week that the Human Rights Commission, which so often can get out of control, was practising that radical race theory under the guise, of course, of anti-racism. But Amanda Stoker, the Assistant Attorney General, said, no, this can't continue, this has to stop. That's how the Turnbull Times decided to write about it, because guess what ended up happening? The Human Rights Commission has turned around and said, well, we don't care what the minister says, we're doing it anyway. Who do we elect to run our country? Who do we elect to oversee these bodies that implement the law? And then today, another example from our schools, where supposedly we're focusing on the real world, yet another version of the curriculum that'll be taught to your kids and grandkids, is going to focus on, among other things, Indigenous studies and less humanities. Do we need to know the full story of our history? Absolutely. Do we need kids that can read, write, spell to be more functional humans? Absolutely. But do they also need to learn about stories like that here of Ballarat, where people decided to risk it all? Some made an incredible fortune, others did not. But that central lesson the Prime Minister has talked about today in Sydney is just as relevant in Ballarat and in your place tonight. That the only thing that should be holding somebody back is not what somebody tries to see as the exit ramp from trying. Too often our schools, our moral institutions say, if you can find a reason not to try, then you don't have to. But put simply, there are people who are born in the poorest house, in the poorest suburb, or the richest house in the richest suburb. But this country is one where if they have the ability and the drive, and yes, at times the luck, you can do anything you want. That's something that should always be fundamental. This is a special place for that very reason. Except there are plenty of those who wish to say, no, nothing's much expected of you because of your skin colour. That's the exact reverse racism that was practised a very long and dark time ago.